Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today, because it's the first Wednesday of the month, it's the Global Monthly Video Group. And every month a group of demonstrators around the world, we all get together and we choose either the same stamp set or the same theme. And we make cards and 3D items, and everybody else's video is linked onto my YouTube and onto my blog. So don't forget to look at the videos at the end of this description box. Click on the little links and you'll be able to see what everybody else has made. Now December is a New Year theme, and I don't actually own any of the New Year stamp sets. So what I decided to do was to make a celebration card for New Year. And I'm going to be using the Praiseworthy Prose set, which has this celebrate on, and that's the sentiment I'm going to use. I'm going to use my stitched dies, the star dies. I'm going to use my stitched rectangle dies, and I'm going to make a New Year card. So let me just move those out of the way and I'll show you how we're going to start. I've got just a basic Night of Navy cardstock and I've scored it. And remember that on the top where you score, it will have like a little dip, and on the other side it'll have a bump. I always fold the bump so that it's in the middle inside, because I always think that this has already been stretched by scoring it, and I don't want to stretch both sides of the card. So I was always taught to do it that way, and whenever I make a card you'll see that that's the way I fold it. I have a piece of matching Very Vanilla card, and the front of our card is going to be very vanilla, so that's why I'm using that on the inside too. And I'm just going to pop it inside. I'm not doing any stamping on this. If I was going to stamp, I would stamp first, just in case I made a mess of it and had to restamp. So that's just going to be on the inside. And then we're going to work on the outside. I'm going to put this to one side just while we make the front. And I've got the same size of Very Vanilla cut. On one piece I've used the tufted embossing folder, and the other I've used the subtles. I don't need two pieces, I just wasn't sure which piece I would love best when it came out of the embossing folders. And actually I like this tufted one, so that's the one I'm going to use today. If you don't have an embossing folder, it really doesn't matter. It's just to add a little bit of extra interest to it, but it's by no means compulsory. I have a little bit of the brightly gleaming paper, the one with the little copper stars on, and I'm going to attach that. I think I'm going to put it on with wet glue just because of the dips in the cardstock here. So I'm just going to attach that. I do know that it's a tiny bit long, so I'm not going to put glue all the way to the end because it is just a bit longer than I need it to be. And I'm going to add this, and I'm going to use my grid lines just to help me work out where I want things to be and to make sure that they're in a straight line. And if I follow the grid line across, I know that I'm on the right place. And this embossing folder is actually easy to line up just because of where the patterns are. You can tell by eye if the patterns are not straight. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim that last little bit off. I knew it would only be a tiny bit long, but I got it straight out of the bag and I didn't cut it beforehand. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and just push down on it. You could do this with your bone folder. I'm just going to push with my fingers just so that I know the glue has got into all those little dips. Okay, now I said I was going to use the stitched stars, and I am going to use one of the stars. Let me see where I've just popped that down. Not sure. I'm using this star here, and I'm using this curly sprig piece as well. Just trying to see, oh, that's where they are, look. So I'm using this size, and I'm using the matching little pattern piece, and this one just fits exactly inside. And you see how that fits really nicely. Now I've cut them out just on different colours. So let me show you what I did. I used my copper foil card and I cut this shape, and that's this one. And when you cut it, you'll see that it cuts out lots more stars. So I've saved all those little stars as well. They're different sizes and things. So I've saved those. And then I cut this one in the copper foil. And you see how it has that stitched element to it. The piece that you cut from also ends up with the stitched elements on. So that looks really pretty. If you then want to cut freehand and do a bigger star, you could actually make a bigger star. Okay, so that's that one that I've used. And then this one I cut out in Very Vanilla. And here it is cut. So when that's layered on top, it really just pops. Okay, so that's the dies I've used. I am going to use one more die because I'm going to do our sentiments, and I'm going to use Night of Navy ink because my base colour is Night of Navy, and this Celebrate one. So I'm just going to, I've already put this on a stamping block. It's on a very big stamp block. It doesn't really need to be that big, but that's just the first one that came to hand. In fact, I've got a better piece that I can make this on. So I'm just going to tap the ink. It's a very wet, juicy pad, so I'm trying not to tap hard. And then I'm just going to stamp. Oh, that came out really nicely. I'll just put my ink away because we don't need any more ink. And then I'm going to use one of my rectangle dies. And I've used the ones from the side where they're narrower, and I've used the second one in. And that is just a perfect size. See, it fits in there really nicely. What I've also done though is I'm moving the die so that it's nearer to the writing on the left than the right hand side, just because I want to put something in this top corner. So I ran that through my Big Shot, and then this is what I end up with. Just the beautiful sentiment on these stitched dies with that nice little gap up here. I'm just going to move all these dies out of the way so that we can start to assemble the card. As this is nice and dry now. Okay, so I'm going to start first with the little cutout from the curly sprig piece. And I'm only going to put glue on a few parts of it. Some of it will be held down by the big star, but I don't want glue showing, sort of spreading out or anything. So I'm just going to put a few little dabs where the card looks a little bit thicker, and I think I might get away with a bit more glue. I think that would be easier. You could also put some Tombow on your silicone mat or on even a stamp case, and use a little sponge and just dab the sponge onto the glue and then rub it over the back of here. And that way you only get a little bit of glue, but it's just enough to stick it on. Okay. And I'm not going to worry too much if a little bit of glue peeps out, because it does dry clear. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this so that it goes diagonally just over that little tiny piece of DSP and onto the Very Vanilla layer that we've made. Okay, and then I'm going to take the Very Vanilla piece that we cut, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the middle, and then on the edges at the points of the star, because that's where there's a little bit more cardstock for the glue to stick onto. And try a couple of other little tiny weeny dabs as well. And then I'm just going to layer it up on top of the copper foil piece. Whoops, I dropped that, so the glue will look like it's smudging. But that's okay. We'll just wipe this off. just going to get a little Kleenex to do that with. I just move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing that glue where I dropped the card onto. And if it ends up being sticky, just use your glue eraser and rub it off. Or like a microfiber cloth you can use as well, and it will just rub that off. I think I will actually have to get the little cloth out because it's just a bit sticky on there still. But let's carry on anyway. Okay, so this piece is going to attach over here. But first I want to put my sentiment on so that I know I'm not putting the star on and then having to cover it over with my sentiment. And I'm going to use my dimensionals for this. And this way it will just pop it up a little bit. I'm going to pop 4 on. Make sure they're stuck down. And then we'll take the backing off. These little dimensional backings, they get everywhere. Okay, and then I'm going to attach that right to the bottom here. I'm just leaving a nice little border. Okay, and now that I've got all of that ready, I'm going to put this onto my base card. I will put the rest of the pieces on top in a moment, but I'm going to attach this first. Whoops. Sorry, I just woggled the camera there. Do beg your pardon. And I'm going to use my tear and tape, because I think this sticks really well when you've got sort of a bumpy piece of card, like one of these 3D embossing folders. It will also glue on with your wet glue. It just takes a little bit longer to dry and to make sure it gets into all the little nooks and crannies. I hope I didn't make you feel seasick there when I knocked the camera. I do enjoy being part of this video group and seeing what everybody else makes, because sometimes you get a stamp set or a set of dies and you have a very fixed idea in your head about what you're going to make with it. And then you see what somebody else makes and you think, oh wow, I never even thought of that. And you know, you get lots of different ideas, and I do like that. Okay, so let's attach this to our card. And remember, it's going to have a nice little border all the way around. Turn my card around so I can see. I have the light glaring at me from outside as well. It's a really snowy day here, but the sun's out and the sky's blue. So the snow is looking very, very bright white. So I've tried to close some of the blinds and make it not so bright in here, but I can just see the sun glinting on it. Okay, so there we are. That's the base of our card. Now here's my little star that I've got the little bit of Tombow glue, and I'm looking to see where my cloth is, and I know it's not near my desk. Let me see if I can get it off with this. I don't want to end up with lots of pieces of tissue. No, I'll just wait until after the video is finished and then clean it with my cloth. Okay, so this one, we are going to attach it over here, and I'm going to put that on dimensionals as well. I don't mind that it's going to be raised because this piece is already raised. I'll just put a few of these on. 3 should be enough. When I bought this star set, I bought it mainly for Christmas, but I didn't buy the stamp set that went with it. But I have seen that in the new mini catalogue that comes out in January, there's another set that will go with these. So I think I might buy that. But you know me, I don't always buy the whole set. Sometimes I think I wouldn't use that stamp or I wouldn't use those dies, so I'll just buy one or the other. Okay, now these little stars that we cut out, I'm going to pop that tiny weeny one just on the edge here. So I'll just put a little dab of glue on here. And I want it to sort of stand off the card as well a little bit. I'm just going to pop that there, and then I'm going to put one of the bigger ones up at the top. Oops, let's turn that round. And let me see, I might put another one of the little ones. Let's have a look. I'm going to put it down here, just on there. So that's my card all finished. Apart from, I'm going to rub that glue off once I'm off camera. So there's my December Global Monthly Video group card. And remember to just look at the end of the description box for this video, and you will see all of the other people who are taking part, and you will see their video links. So if you click on their video links, you will find that they've made cards or 3D projects ready for the new year as well. So thank you very much for spending time watching me. I really enjoyed making that card, and although I thought I had nothing for New Year, I think that's a great option. It doesn't have to be for New Year though, it would make a really nice birthday card. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye everyone.